everybody, it's Janine here, and today I have a special guest, Limor. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
She has been gracious enough to have me over to her house in Toronto, where I've spent a little bit of time this month, so thank you for that.
My pleasure. Welcome to the home office.
And today she's here to share her top 5 tips for purchasing a home as a first-time home buyer. She does a lot of work in this area, so I'm excited to have her as an expert.
Thanks. Thank you. I know home buying is like so exciting, but it's the biggest purchase you're ever going to make. So I definitely understand that it's nerve-wracking and there's lots of questions. So excited to share my tips with you.
Excellent. Take it away.
All right, so let's dive right in. So my first tip for you is don't try to time the market. I know so many people are like, oh, I should buy now, or it's about to crash, no, I shouldn't buy now, or I should have bought 5 years ago, I should just wait until the market changes a little bit. When you're looking to buy your house or your condo, the first place that you're gonna live, it's not about timing the market, it's about your lifestyle. Because if you end up paying $5,000 more or $5,000 less, trust me, in the grand scheme of your mortgage payments over the next 25 years, it is not going to make a difference. So buying a house is about, or buying a condo, buying your first place is about when you're ready to do it from a lifestyle standpoint. So don't wait to try to time the market. Tip number 1.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's so important. And I think we see a lot of people just getting stressed about getting into the market, so they just want to buy now, or they're regretting that they didn't buy a couple years ago.
I hear a lot of that, like I should have just bought 2 years ago, but you know, when we would have had the conversation 2 years ago, they say the market's going to crash. Now is not the time. So don't time the market.
It's kind of that shoulda, coulda, woulda, but didn't mentality.
Absolutely. So my second tip is have a trusted mentor. When you purchase your first place, this is likely the biggest purchase, the largest transaction you have ever made, or maybe will make for a very long time. So make sure that you have someone that you trust. Now, most people end up working with a realtor or a mortgage broker or a lawyer, and all of those folks are great because they are definitely experts, but I'd recommend that the mentor is someone that you have a very personal connection to as well, because you know all of those professionals that I mentioned actually benefit financially from you buying the house. So they're hopefully have your best interest at heart, but sometimes it's not perfectly aligned.
So then on that, how do you find a trusted mentor that is, I guess, outside of that circle or doesn't benefit financially from your home purchase?
Well, I mean, I think it's great if maybe you've got someone who's helping with your finances for a long time. A family member can be great, but recognizing that, you know, if it's your parent and they bought a house 20 or 30 years ago, it's not the same environment. And there's nothing wrong with taking advice from all of those professionals and, you know, selecting one of those professionals who you've had a whole number of conversations about, you've had questions to sort of find out how they would handle a certain situation. I mean, one that comes up all the time is, you know, I'm working with a realtor and they are both representing the buyer and the seller. And so, you know, you ask them like, will you be willing to take a little bit of a cost cutting? And, you know, sometimes they'll say yes and sometimes they'll say no. But, you know, there's lots of different instances, and I'm not saying one's right or one's wrong, but there's lots of different instances where you may feel like the person you're working with is not necessarily recommending that you do the thing is only in your best interest. So it can be a little bit tricky, but you know, making sure that you feel comfortable, because otherwise buying your first property can really be super stressful.
Yeah, if you're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into something, you want to make sure you really trust and are comfortable with the person you're working with.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my tip number 3 is to recognize that really it is a journey. And you're not going to wake up on a Saturday morning and say, okay, I'm ready to buy my first place, and like inside of a week you're going to have a first place.
Let's hope you don't do that at least.
Let's hope not. Yeah, it's something that's going to take a long time, and you may not necessarily be fully intentionally going at it, but you may say, okay, I know I want to buy a property inside of a year or 2, and that's when you really double down and focus on your down payment, because we all know that that's a hefty sum of money that we got to have, right? And hopefully, you know, obviously the minimum is 5% down, but you've also got a lot of insurance fees at that point. So if you can get a little bit more, that'll be great. But also, like your credit, it can take a long time to get your credit into good standing. And you may just be someone who's really responsible with your money, but you prefer to just use cash, in which case your credit score may not be that strong because you don't have a lot of credit history. So credit history takes time to accumulate. And I would say, like, on average, this is based on my own opinion only, from when like buying a place, it's kind of a glimmer in your mind. It's like the first time you ever considered it to when you buy, it can be a year or two, and that's absolutely normal.
Yeah, that's really great. And just touching on the credit score, there are a number of different financial institutions now that are starting to offer free credit scores. And so if you're looking at maybe potentially buying a home, checking that out sooner rather than later is probably a good idea.
Yeah, good to know where you stand. And you may find like your credit is great, but in the instance where it's not, you don't want to have that trip you up at the 11th hour.
Yeah, exactly.
So tip number 4 that I have for you is don't be house poor. We all want to buy these amazing, gorgeous, stunning houses with, marble and finishes and all that kind of good stuff. But don't stretch yourself so far in that you put all of your money into the upfront part of the mortgage that, once you move in, and we were laughing about this before, it's like all you can afford is your groceries and you get to eat them on a picnic in your living room where you have no furniture. So recognize that there's going to be a lot of costs that you're going to have once you actually own the property. So elements of maintenance, your insurance is going to be higher than when you were renting. It's possible that you could be living in an area where even your car insurance could be higher. You want to make sure you've got money in case like fridge dies or something. So make sure that you haven't put all your money into the property itself.
Yeah, all those costs can add up really quickly, especially if maybe your furniture doesn't fit into your new home. You might have to start buying pieces to set up the place. And I mean,
you're so right. The expenses never end at that point in time. So don't want to be house poor. And tip number 5 is really just about, when you're looking to cover the costs up front. Obviously, you're going to have a mortgage, but there's a lot of costs that may feel a little bit more hidden when you actually go through the transaction of getting the property. So, in many provinces in Canada, you have land transfer tax. In Alberta, where you're from, there is no land transfer tax, which is awesome. In Toronto, where I live, we actually have 2 sets of land transfer tax.
That can get expensive.
It can get super expensive. But, regardless of where you are in the country, you're going to have closing costs. You're going to have legal fees. It's going to cost you money to, get a mover to pack everything up and go to move into your place. So those are sometimes costs that maybe we don't necessarily consider. So it can be expensive, and you want to make sure that as you're about to close or about to move, you don't find yourself in a situation where it's like, oh shoot, I'm totally out of cash and I can't make this happen.
Yeah, so would you recommend maybe talking with your trusted advisor or mentor beforehand to really iron out some of those costs? Or?
Yeah, I think that's it's a really good thing, but also to just really identify what all those costs are going to cost you. And really have a budget that's not just about, oh, my mortgage payment is going to be this. Your lawyer, your mortgage broker can all help you understand what are some of those hidden costs, make them a little bit less hidden so that you can preemptively be ready and prepared. And that way, moving into your own house or your own condo, your first place, is like exciting and exhilarating rather than like stressful, and you want to pull your hair out and you're like, oh my gosh, how I'm going to be eating peanut butter sandwiches for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time buying a home, so you want to make sure that it can be as positive as possible. So really making sure the financial piece is in check will help eliminate a lot of your stress, I would assume.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? You want to live a fabulous life and feel great about the financial milestones and life milestones you have.
Well, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here on your channel.
Yeah, no, Limor has a special little gift for some of our viewers. So why don't you take that away?
Yeah, so I'm giving away free copies of my ebook called The Financially Fabulous Strategies That No One's Ever Told You. I'm going to link those down below, and it's going to show you some great ways to make some extra money so that when you are ready to buy your first place, you'll be in great standing to cover all those additional costs. So we'll link that down below.
Absolutely, and Thanks so much for doing that.
Thanks for having me.
So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions for myself or for Limor, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And make sure you head over to Limor's YouTube channel. I'm going to link that as well in the section below. And check out her website, which is limor.money.
There you go, .money.
.money, not .money.com.
No, .money.
.money. Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thank you. This is great.